What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the show. This is Free Mind Podcast. I am your host, Dave Hurt, and I'm happy to be here, and I hope you're happy to be here too. So first off, guys, before we jump into stuff, I just wanted to remind you all, if you're interested in doing Free Mind Book Club, we are launching that. We, meaning me and you and whoever else wants to partake, launching it basically this week. So the book is Pandemia by Alex Berenson. So you definitely still have time to pick up a copy and get ready for that. The way that's going to work is I will announce a little bit later this week what you need to have read for next week. And so at the end of the week, next week, I'll basically cover the chapters that we read. And so we'll kind of be reading along together. Not exactly interactive, but I will break down the chapters that were, I guess, quote, assigned for that week and kind of give my take on it. And then I would hope that maybe you guys could, in comment sections or on my social media, or if you want to email me or what have you, provide your thoughts. But I think it's just a kind of a cool way. I love to read. I read all the time and constantly. So just kind of a cool way for us to do something together. And I'm really excited about this book. I love Alex Berenson's work, and so far it's pretty good. I've already started it, and you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Audible if you're interested in the audio version. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Alex posted that the hardcover version is on sale right now on Amazon. So pick that sucker up if you want to participate in the book club. All right. What to start with? Okay, so first off, Elon Musk, one of my favorite billionaires, I guess my favorite billionaire, one of my favorite humans, actually, and you can have your problems with him, that's fine. I know a lot of people do for various reasons, but I appreciate the fact that he speaks truth to power and says things a lot of times that others won't say. And he truly is a genius. And you can't take that away from him. He's impressively intelligent and capable and all that good stuff. And he's done some pretty amazing stuff. But anyway, this isn't the Elon Musk show. The reason I'm bringing him up is in a recent video segment with the Wall Street Journal, he was questioned about the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and he had some choice words to say about that. You guys probably know that he and President Biden aren't the biggest fans of one another. Elon has been pretty outspoken against too much government in general, government overreach, taxation, all that stuff. So basically, I'll run the clip, but just to kind of give you a rundown of what he said. So he was talking to a room of CEOs, and this is an article actually from CNET. So if you want to check it out, it's the headline is Elon Musk sees Neuralink implants for 2022, says CEO is a made-up title. And then the subtitle here is Musk also says the U.S. government should get out of the way on electric vehicles. So he was asked about the infrastructure bill, and this is what he had to say. So let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so he said you can't just spend $3 trillion more than you earn every year. And he's right. And basically his take is just can the whole bill. Just get rid of it. It's terrible. It's going to lead to some really bad things. He says if you don't cut government spending, something really bad is going to happen. He elaborated, this is crazy. Our spending is so far in excess of revenue. It's insane. And this was a crazy point that I wasn't aware of, I guess I would say. He says, you could zero out all the billionaires in the country and you still wouldn't solve the deficit. So there's all this talk, and especially coming from Bernie and his ilk, saying the billionaires, the problem is the billionaires, tax the billionaires. The billionaires are the kind of the solution to all the problems, right? Taxing the millionaires and billionaires, or taxing the billionaires, because Bernie used to say millionaires and billionaires, and then he became a millionaire. So now he wants to tax just the billionaires. But anyway, I guess I hadn't really given it that much thought. But apparently Elon has, and he said you could zero out all the billionaires in the country and you still wouldn't solve the deficit. That is pretty crazy. And, kind of puts a little fly in the ointment for those who are on this anti-billionaire tirade. But anyway, interesting clip, and I'll go ahead and run it right now.
About the infrastructure plan and the bill. Say tomorrow you get a phone call from Joe Biden and he says...
I think that's unlikely, but sure.
Okay. He just gives you a call and he says, I haven't been talking a lot about Tesla lately, but, what do you need from this bill? What are your needs?
At least no one at Tesla has actually brought up whether they care about this bill or not. I think if this bill happened or didn't happen, I don't know. We don't think about it at all, really.
Okay.
It might be better. Honestly, it might be better if the bill doesn't pass, because we've spent so much money. It's like $3 trillion. Federal expenditures are $7 trillion. Federal revenue is $4 trillion. That's a $3 trillion difference in. If this was a company, it'd be a $3 trillion loss. We don't need the $7,500 tax credit. I would say, honestly, I would just can this whole bill. Don't pass it. That's my recommendation.
What about the support, though, for the charging network? I mean, there are parts of this bill.
No, I mean, do we need support for gas stations? We don't. So there's no need for this for support for a charging network. I would delete it. Delete.
Okay.
Something's got to give. You can't just spend $3 trillion more than you earn every year and expect. Don't expect something bad to happen. I think this is not good.
Well, Mitch McConnell is actually saying.
In fact, if I may elaborate on that, the deficit is more than $3 trillion when you look at the future obligations. It's much more than that if you look at future obligations for Social Security, Medicare, and so forth. So we're running this incredible deficit. Something's got to give. I don't know. This can't keep going.
All right, but there's some other good things in this bill that some would argue. I mean, a lot of money earmarked for R&D. Would you want to put that towards something?
No.
Okay. All right. We get what you're saying on it.
In general, we should just if we don't cut government spending, something really bad's going to happen. This is crazy. Our spending is so far in excess of revenue. It's insane. Like you could zero out all billionaires in the country. This is all this like anti-billionaire BS. If you zeroed out all the billionaires, you still wouldn't solve the deficit.
So that's Elon Musk talking about the infrastructure bill and having some choice words there. Clearly not the biggest fan of this president, as he has made well known in the past. As you guys heard, he was basically for scrapping the tax credit and all that stuff. So interesting takes there. Okay. This hits a little closer to home for me, you guys. And I honestly, I take it a little personal. Okay. So Nancy Mace is in headlines once again, all over social media once again. And this is, of course, my home state of South Carolina's representative. And she's with the GOP, but she meets with, and Nancy, why did you do this? Carole Baskin. That's right, y'all. Carole Baskin from Tiger King. You guys know the one. Carole mother effing Baskin. One of the most widely hated people. This is like and Nancy is coming off of some issues with people accusing her of being hypocritical on masks and vaccines. And then she had this big Twitter beef with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then immediately follows that up with meeting with Carole Baskin. And apparently they were meeting to address a bill that is regarding private ownership of big cats. So anyway, of all the people she could meet with, she meets with Carole Baskin. This is from Daily Mail, and just give you guys some of the finer points on it here. Gosh, these pop-ups are brutal. Daily Mail, if you're listening, which I know you're not, get your pop-ups under control, bro. Or broette. So Nancy Mace meets with Tiger King star and activist Carole Baskin to discuss bill to find solution for private ownership and direct contact activities with big cats. The two women called each other badass in a nearly 2-minute video. Boy, oh boy. Baskin, 60 years old, indicated she will meet with more lawmakers while up in D.C. Hide your husbands, everybody. She's coming after them. She's going to kill them. Just kidding. Allegedly, she didn't. We don't know for sure, right? She is promoting the Big Cat bill this month after the second season of Tiger King was released on Netflix in November. The bill aims to stop the inhumane practice of taking big cat cubs from their mothers for the use of direct contact activities like petting or private ownership as a pet. So what is Carole Baskin trying to have a monopoly on big cats or something here? Is she going to give up all hers? I don't know. But anyway, Nancy. Look, I reached out to Nancy months ago because she's a politician in my state. I said I'd love to have you on Free Mind Podcast. Never got a response yet. Here you are with Carole Baskin. You could have met with me instead, and you wouldn't be facing all this blowback, Nancy. So there you go. Boom. They made a video together. You guys can check it out. But, I'm definitely not Team Carole Baskin, I have to say. After Tiger King Season 1, wouldn't recommend associating yourself with her, Nancy, but hey, what do I know? All right, something a little more serious. CNN, my favorite channel, the source of real hard-hitting news. They are, they're many things, but basically there was a tweet put out, and let me pull it up so I don't get it wrong here, by Oliver Darcy, who's with CNN, I believe, reliable sources. And this was, credit where credit's due. This is good to see. Good to see them admitting to, rather. So here's his tweet, and I'll put it up on the screen. Some news and reliable sources. Senior White House and admin officials have been holding briefings with major newsrooms over the past week as they try to reshape economic coverage. Okay, so what does that mean? It means the White House is meeting with the media so they can basically get their narrative straight, make sure they know what they're supposed to be saying since the economy is doing so terribly and they need them to cover it in a specific way. So this is like state media propaganda, like a breath away from it, guys. This is crazy stuff. So here's what it says here. White House quietly tries to reshape economic coverage. The White House, not happy with the news media's coverage of the supply chain and economy, aka the truth, right, has been working behind the scenes trying to reshape coverage in its favor. This is just gross, y'all. Senior White House and admin officials, including NEC Deputy Directors David Kameen and Bharat Ramamurthy, along with Port's envoy John Pokhari, have been briefing major newsrooms over the past week, a source tells me. So this is from Oliver Darcy's tweet. The officials have been discussing with newsrooms trends pertaining to job creation, economic growth, supply chains, and more. The basic argument that has been made is that the country's economy is in much better shape than it was last year. Okay. I'm told the conversations have been productive with anchors and reporters and producers getting to talk with the officials. Okay, guys. So essentially, CNN has just admitted that the corporate media is meeting with the White House to be given instructions on how they'd like for them to cover the economy because the economy is doing so terribly under this administration. This is, I would say that I'm surprised and shocked, but that would be a lie because anything these days is not surprising to me. I mean, it's gross. It's disgusting. It's, like I said, essentially state media propaganda at this point. You saw something similar with Jen Psaki basically getting asked about the federal vax mandate being shut down by judges in courts. And she completely dodged the question and went on this sort of little rant about how they're confident that it's the right move and they're already seeing great numbers in terms of percentages of people vaccinated, as well as productivity numbers for companies. Now, one thing that you have to notice here, excuse me. And I'll play the clip. But one thing you should notice is that she doesn't actually talk about what matters if we're speaking in terms of mandating vaccines, and that is, are these things, is this mandate, are these requirements when instituted at companies or in the federal government, are they making a difference in terms of mitigating the spread of the virus? I mean, because again, she's talking about things that are essentially non-related to whether or not this is effective. So if they ask if a mandate's effective, and she says yes, it's effective, vaccination percentages are up. That's nothing. Who cares? Yes, vaccination percentages are up, but how are the number of cases, the number of hospitalizations, the numbers of deaths? Do we have actual real data that show that these mandates make a difference? Because again, the cat's out of the bag at this point. We know that the vaccines certainly mitigate symptoms in certain demographics, especially, and they can absolutely help, but they don't do anything to prevent you from catching it or spreading it. So again, in the context of your workplace environment, it makes very little sense to mandate. And of course, none of that withstanding, it's against our constitutional rights. But she completely dodges the question. And again, this is another example of how this administration just wants to spin the news. And they're going so far as to meet in private with corporate media personalities, making sure that they know how they should be covering the economy. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for some spin on the economy. And I mean, Biden, he's not putting them out. Someone's putting them out for him. But some of his tweets and some of the White House's tweets are just hilarious, talking about how great the economy is and all these things. Meanwhile, people can barely afford food, barely afford gas. It's just insane. It's like he's living in a different world. So anyway.
Any reaction to a federal judge in Georgia's decision to block the administration from enforcing the COVID-19 mandate, vaccine mandate for employees or federal contractors?
Well, the reason that we proposed these requirements is that we know they work. And we are confident in our ability legally to make these happen across the country. As you know, the federal government, the largest employer in the country, we have successfully implemented these requirements in a way that has not only boosted vaccinations in the federal government with more than 92% of people vaccinated, but also helps avoid disruptions in operations. And our implementation sends a clear message to businesses, including federal contractors, that similar measures will protect their workforce, protect their customers, and protect our communities. I'd also note that a number of businesses across the country have also implemented these requirements, vaccinating or testing requirements, depending on the organization. And the CEO of Lockheed said last week that they are at over 95% on track to be compliant and are well on their way to be able to maintain operations. So I would just note, of course, the Department of Justice will vigorously defend this in court, but we know it works. That's why the president and the administration.
Excuse me, I had to get some water there. That is what's going on between the White House and the press. I'm sure you're not shocked to know that the administration is trying to shape the narrative and lie to the American people. All right. What else? We covered CNN and their coverage of the secret meetings, which, again, interesting they admitted to that. I'll give them credit there. Nancy Mace meeting with Carole Baskin, still salty over that, Nancy. We covered Elon. Oh, yes, the last thing I want to talk about, I guess we'll keep this one pretty short tonight, you all. But the last thing I want to talk about, because I do want to end on a positive note, is Hillary Clinton. That's right, you guys. Hillary Clinton, she is in the news. She's doing this master class, and basically she reads her would have been victory speech in this masterclass video. And I don't know exactly what the masterclass is on. I guess how to be a psychopathic conspiracy theorist who never becomes president. But anyway, she reads her 2016 victory speech that she never got to actually give to the people, obviously. And she cries alligator or crocodile tears. And it's just a beautiful sight to behold. It's funny because she's well, I think one of the things she talks about is persistence. And you can say what you want about her, but if she's not persistent, I mean, the woman just won't go away. Like, please, just stop. We're done with you. This was however many years ago, 5 years ago. Just stop. All right. You didn't win. Nobody likes you. And please just go like retire somewhere and lay around and relax. But no. So here you go. Check this out and get a good laugh, because I certainly did.
To her and sitting down next to her, taking her in my arms and saying, look at me, listen to me. You will survive. You will have a good family of your own and 3 children. And as hard as it might be to imagine, your daughter will grow up and become the President of the United States.
Wow. Now that is powerful.
Yeah.
So that was Hillary Clinton reading her would have been victory speech. And it's so funny at the end how you get that response from the USA Today. I think it's USA Today staff. You know, it's just crazy to me that people still drink that Kool-Aid and still buy this BS from her. But I digress. Let me try to be nice here, you guys. I believe that's all. No, that is not all. Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. My buddy Jussie Smollett. So you guys probably heard yesterday's episode. I covered quite a bit about him. But one thing that I've been noticing, and I just wanted to mention it tonight because I've been digging around, doing my research and stuff. And believe it or not, guys, and again, these days, nothing surprises us, right? But believe it or not, there are still people who are fully supportive of him and are using hashtags like justice for Jussie, literally. So here's an example, and I'm not kidding, guys. I'll put it up on the screen. This is a tweet from Melina Abdullah, who apparently is the founder of Black Lives Matter LA chapter. She's been in the news several times. I think most recently for basically waving off the smash and grab looting and all that stuff and the huge crime waves that California has recently. But anyway, this is a tweet she put out. And no, this is not a parody. This is real. So here we go. She says, as they move in to closing arguments in the hashtag Jussie Smollett trial, we must courageously love and protect one another and always remember, police lie. We love you, Jussie. Hashtag Jussie Smollett. Hashtag police lie. Hashtag cops lie. And then she tagged at Coalition Jussie. So apparently there's a whole coalition of people who apparently support staging hate crime hoaxes. Now, there's a few things here if you unpack this. First off, okay, you can say cops lie all you want, but does surveillance video lie that shows them doing a dry run the day before? Do financial records lie showing that he paid them for this? Do other black men lie? Because you got to remember, now you have Jussie on one side and you have the brothers on the other side who are also black men. So does justice only matter for one side here? Because you have Jussie claiming one thing and them claiming the other. So which side gets the justice? Which side gets the justice here? Is it Jussie or is it the Osenderos? Because, you know, they're also black men and they could be victims of getting set up in this scenario too. So you gotta weigh everything here. You can't be cognitively dissonant. And unfortunately, this has turned into a scenario with all black people. So who are you going to point the finger at, right? You're going to point it at Jussie. You're going to point it at the twins. But if you say cops lie, okay, fine, sure. Let's just say that. Let's say they lie. All right, now you got all this surveillance footage. You got the fact that Jussie originally claimed something totally different than what he's claiming now. You have all the weird situational stuff like, yeah, okay, he went out after midnight in winter in Chicago to get 4 eggs for his fitness plan, and that's how they set him up to jump him and commit apparently a hate crime against him. Meanwhile, he's having a romantic relationship with one of them. So that doesn't make sense at all. Apparently, they just put a noose around his neck as a symbol and put bleach on him because, that's just what Nigerian brothers do. And it's all preposterous. All right. Remember, this all started as him saying it was white guys and they said, this is MAGA country. Like, he's clearly lying. And the fact that you still have people like this individual putting out tweets in support of him and still taking his side, it just truly shows that, well, it shows, for one, that intelligence is definitely a commodity in scarce supply in a lot of circles these days, but also that people in support of their narrative will believe anything and say anything. And it's just so incredibly obvious that Jussie did a terrible thing here, yet you're still taking his side. I wonder if she even thought about the fact that he's now accusing 2 black men. And so now it's not just an issue of injustice between police and a black man. It's 2 parties against one another, both of which are black. So which is it going to be? Did these Nigerian brothers commit a hate crime against Jussie Smollett? Apparently pouring bleach on him, even though he's lighter skinned than they are, putting a noose around his neck, even though, again, they're black. So what is it? What is it? And how is Jussie the victim here? And what have police lied about? What exactly have they lied about? Because we got the security footage. We got them doing circles around the block, doing a dry run. So it's just hilarious. It's laughable. Anyway, I think that's it, you guys. Hopefully you got a little value out of this. And I hope you'll consider subscribing on YouTube if you haven't already. Give me a rating and review on Apple if you listen there. I would be eternally grateful. Trying to grow this thing, cranking out content every day, spending a lot of time researching the issues, making sure I have stuff to talk about, producing it. I am a one-man show, so any support you provide is absolutely so much appreciated, and I'm eternally grateful. It still blows my mind that anybody listens to begin with to what I have to say. So thank you all so much, and until next time, my friends, keep your minds free.